I must say that in the country there cannot be a finer leader than General Sheriff Lott, who has stood tall over the years and has made a huge difference in our state, most recently exemplified with the riots that we had elsewhere, but not here, once the sheriff was on the scene. And General McCarty, thank you for your service, outstanding service. And I could say that about everybody in the room. I hope that someone is writing down what these men have said, because those are some of the best words and best thoughts I've heard in some time, all in one place, and I appreciate it. A little story. There was you may have heard one about the little boy and his daddy. Their family moved to town and they joined a church, and so the daddy was showing his son around the church, trying to convince him that they were at the right place. It was a big church, had a big graveyard out there in the back. And he took the little boy out there and he said, "Look here, son, this is a fine old church with long historic traditions. Right there is a monument to all the men who died in the service." The little boy said, "Died in the service?" He said, "That's a monument to the men who died in the service." The little boy said, "Which one, 11 o'clock or 8:30? Well, y'all, I didn't look as we came in, but I'm sure some of the young folks will be reveling out there on the grass, getting ready for the football game. And they'll be happy and won't have a care in the world. Everything is wonderful. The virus, everything. And by the way, we can see the end. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We know what we're dealing with now. We didn't before, but we do now. And South Carolina entered its response to the virus, unlike most states. And instead of trying to see what we could close down and how, we tried to see what we could keep open and how. And that approach has made an enormous difference. And it's for that reason that our unemployment rate is better than other places. Businesses are working better than other places. And it's because we used our heads and used our experience. We collaborated, we communicated, we cooperated with each other, and we determined the best thing to do. And that's what we're doing here today as well. And those young people out there have no idea of the serious business that's going on here. They're happy, frolicking, and it reminds me a little bit of what goes on at our house. Peggy and I have a daughter, Mary Rogers, was mentioned earlier, and she has a new husband and a new little English bulldog puppy. His name is Grayson. She's a ball of happiness. That's all she is. She's flopping and grinning and carrying on and running around. And Peggy and I have an older bulldog. His name is Little Mac. He was little when we got him. He's now 52 pounds, and he is a sure enough English bulldog. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about. They were bred for a sport they call bull baiting, which indicates they're not scared very much. Well, there's a lesson in those two dogs, and a lesson in what we're doing and what they're doing outside. The little pup is carefree, happy, and protected. But the big bull, we call it Mac, he's always ready. And he can go from being a playful ball of fun to 52 pounds of teeth, claw, and muscle that will activate at the slightest sound in the yard or in the house. Anything that he sees as a threat, he goes through a metamorphosis into a fighting machine. And we get out of his way to try to see what it is that he has detected that we have missed. And it is comforting to have such an animal. Well, it is comforting to have such a force as this. As mentioned, I was a student, still am a student of history and trying to learn as much as I can. And there are those among us today in our country who would say that what we are doing here is unnecessary and unwanted and is actually harmful. I think we all know enough history to know that those who are trying to tell us that everything we've always known and believed is wrong are speaking only for themselves. And their motivation is for them to determine. But I think that we know better. 350 years of history, 350 years of people in this state standing up and fighting whenever necessary, when doing whatever is necessary to protect ourselves, our children, our families, our future, doing whatever is necessary. And I will tell you that I am committed to see that we never forget those that went before us and fought the battles and led the charge and absorbed the blows, took the ups and took the downs, and brought us to where we are today. 28. People forget their history, and they are in decline. And we shall not forget our history. We will also remember the lessons of history, and those lessons are that it is a dangerous world, and we do not know from whence the next attack will come. Will it be arms? Will it be explosions? Will it be by air, land, sea? What will be the source? Well, today we know that there are other avenues into our country, whether it's chemical, biological, or cyber. It is sophisticated, it is dangerous, it is debilitating, and the world is more dangerous today than it has ever been before. I like to watch old movies. I started on one last night called Failsafe. You may remember that movie. If you hadn't seen it lately, rent it or find it. Good lessons in there. But it just shows how things can go wrong and how we must always be prepared and be vigilant. So I want to thank the State Guard. I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank the families of all of the men and women who contribute in this way. South Carolina, I believe, is the greatest place in the world to live, work, and raise a family. And it is because we have strong, dedicated leadership in the things that count. The military strength, the arsenal, the law enforcement, all tied together to make this place safe. If we cannot be safe, we cannot grow, we cannot prosper, we cannot educate. We must be safe. So you and they are the backbone of what makes this country great. We recognize that. And so celebrating 350 years of that is an enormous opportunity. A lot of states hadn't been here for 350 years, let alone done what we have done. So we'll keep doing it. I can assure you that for me and mine, we respect and honor what you've done, what you will do, what you are, and what you can be. We have come a long way. We have done many things. This is your home today, and it will grow, it will be bigger, it will be better, and I encourage all of us to speak to our friends, neighbors, and explain to them and offer to them the opportunity to participate as we all are doing today. We've come a long way. There's a lot more coming. We don't know what's going to happen, but I know we'll be ready in an instant, and I know that the best is yet to come. With that, I have a proclamation, which I will present. Come forward. State of South Carolina, Governor's Proclamation. Whereas, authorized by the South Carolina Code of Laws, the State Guard is a professional military organization and component of the South Carolina Military Department that supports a variety of critical functions of state, county, and municipal governments, such as disaster, relief assistance to communities, and local first responder agencies. And whereas the South Carolina State Guard traces its earliest manifestation to the formation of the Charleston Militia in 1670, the colony's first military organization, protecting residents in the earliest days from piracy and invasion. Whereas leaders such as Francis Marion, Thomas Sumter, and Andrew Pickens, among the organizers of several military, artillery, and naval components, fought scores of engagements against the British during the American Revolution. And in the early 1800s, the South Carolina military contributed to taking Florida from Spain, while individual members fought in the War of 1812 and the Mexican War from 1846 to 1848. And whereas, as part of the South Carolina Military Department, the State Guard trains new members to provide a number of services, including research and rescue operations, medical support, legal and engineering expertise, chaplain and counseling services, directing the distribution of supplies, and providing military funeral honors to veterans. And whereas, when serious natural or man-made disasters strike the state, the mission of the State Guard is to respond quickly to protect people and property and help communities recover in coordination with the National Guard, law enforcement, and other state and local agencies. And whereas, since 2015, the State Guard has provided in excess of 120,000 hours of professional services, including deployments for recovery operations after Hurricanes Joaquin, Harvey, Matthew, Florence, and Dorian. Whereas this year marks the 350th anniversary of the South Carolina State Guard. Now I, therefore, Henry McMaster, Governor of the great state of South Carolina, and on behalf of over 5 million proud, happy South Carolinians, do hereby proclaim 2020 as South Carolina State Guard Year throughout the state, and encourage all South Carolinians to recognize the many valuable contributions of the South Carolina State Guard volunteers who share a passion and a strong commitment to their fellow citizens of the Power State. General, if you